Hailie is the only reason I'm marrying Kim. That's what Eminem told his side chick days before his wedding. We all know the toxic legend of Kim, the woman who inspired romantic songs like Puke. But what about the 16-month secret affair, the Hollywood actress he broke, and the truth about Mariah Carey? Today, we unseal the files. We kick things off with the OG, the one and only Kimberly Ann Scott. Eminem and Kim met back in the late 80s. Em says he was at a buddy's house, shirtless on the kitchen table, spitting LL Cool J bars like a boss. He spins around and spots Kim, who's tight with his friend's sister. She's standing at the door, smoking. Kim wasn't just some random neighborhood girl. She was in a really bad situation. With an alcoholic, an abusive stepdad, and a mom that didn't care, she was living in a youth home. She was bouncing around until Debbie, Eminem's mom, actually took her in. Debbie always wanted a daughter, so it seemed like a win-win. But what sweet old Debbie didn't see coming? Walking in one day to find Marshall and Kim, let's say, making Hailie.
Debbie said one day she came home and they were playing around, so she ordered Kim out. And Marshall said, I'm going too. So they left. They walked down on Debbie, and Debbie couldn't stand that.
From that moment on, it was pure emotional warfare. Debbie kept stirring the pot, trying to break them up. And honestly, it worked. Em and Kim were caught in a toxic tornado of love and hate, arguments every single day. But here's the part most people get wrong because of his songs. On the inside, a lot of the abuse was actually aimed at Eminem.
You know, I wouldn't let him do a lot of things and stuff. And like I said, whenever he'd have something big going on, she'd screw it up.
He reaches around me and takes his head and smashes it into the tour bus mirror. And it just cracked spiderweb.
All that chaos? They still had a daughter in '95, Hailie Jade. Did the baby calm things down? Of course not. They kept fighting, kept breaking up, kept getting back together. And then decided, you know what would fix this? Marriage. Bro straight up clicked New Game Plus Ultra Hardcore mode on his own life and married Kim in June 1999. By then, he'd already started cheating on her. But we'll talk about it later. And as you can probably guess, nothing changed. If anything, it got worse. Breakups, makeups, infidelities, even S-word attempts. This exploded in March 2001 when Kim filed for divorce.
I've known this woman all my life. With that and the combination of everything that was going on around me, my world was like.
The settlement? Friendly-ish. Joint custody. Em pays $1,000 a week in child support. He keeps the house and gives Kim $475,000 for a new spot, although rumors say he actually paid her closer to $6 million. So what do you think happened next? Yep, they got back together and split like 2 billion more times. And then, in December 2005, Eminem shocked everyone with this.
My wife, Kim, she is...
Stop for a second. You just said my wife, Kim. Are you and Kim back together?
Yes, we are back together.
That's
and we have reconciled and are probably going to remarry.
Wow.
Said and done, they got married in January 2006. And to no one's surprise, the marriage lasted shorter than Beat Rabbit's quickies. Because this time was Eminem the one who filed for divorce just 3 months later. But the story didn't stop there. After all that drama, plus some magazines claiming they were back together and that he'd gotten her pregnant again, a few years later, in 2013, Kim's mom dropped a bomb. She said Kim and Eminem were getting along better than ever, and that it really seemed like they were together again. She even claimed Eminem was building another house for Kim near his own. It was never officially confirmed, but Kim was spotted during the building of that house. Years later, Eminem drops his album Revival with the track Bad Husband, where he apologizes to Kim for everything he'd done wrong. And in an interview, he says, "I'm not killing Kim on songs anymore. We're good now, and she's the mother of my daughter." Just on songs, huh? Then in 2023, The Sun published comments from Kim saying she and Em saw each other at their adopted daughter Elena's wedding, and they'd be seeing each other again at Hailie's too. When they asked how often she sees him, she joked, "Not often, but often enough." She also said that despite everything they've been through, M has always had her back when she really needs him, and he still checks in to make sure she's okay. This is just the short version of their story. These two are so chaotic, they honestly deserve their own multi-part documentary. If you want a full deep dive just on M and Kim, smash that like button and I'll get to work on it. Now let's talk about the side chick. We have to rewind again. March 1999. Eminem's entire life is flipping upside down. The Slim Shady LP just dropped, and to everyone's surprise, it's blowing up. He's in Miami Beach signing autographs when he spots a Brazilian hottie. Her name? Kesia Alvarez. She has no clue who he is, but just for fun, and maybe to resell it on eBay, she asks him for an autograph. They start flirting, and she ends up going to his show that night. They hang out for a few days without anything happening between them, until he invites her to fly out to California with him. There, he introduces her to Dr. Dre and tells him she is his wife. What the F, bro? That night was the first time she met his little friend. The two of them were completely in love with each other. They were inseparable. Kesia became a fixture on the tour, whenever Kim wasn't around. But in May, M played with fire even more. He had the brilliant idea of letting Kesia stay with him for his show in Grand Rapids, a city barely 2 hours from Detroit. He thought Kim wasn't coming. Spoiler alert, Kim came.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Eminem's team scrambled to get Kesia on a flight back home, but Kim, who had no idea how to handle the overnight fame Eminem was suddenly drowning in and was insanely jealous of all the new groupies popping up, went straight to M's hotel room and checked the voicemail on the hotel phone and boom, a message from Kesia. I love you. I'm sorry I had to leave. M's team tried to cover it up, telling Kim that Kesia was just some crazy groupie calling every hotel room Eminem stayed in, but she didn't buy it. The suspicion was already eating her alive. A month later, M married Kim anyway. Kesia, she didn't care. She didn't mind being the side chick because she was genuinely in love, and Eminem had told her the only reason he was marrying Kim was because of Hailie. He kept bringing Kesia on tour, even across Europe, and he even had the guts to bring her to his very first Saturday Night Live appearance. And the affair carried on for a total of 16 months. But in 2000, everything blew up for real when Eminem's former bodyguard released a book spilling the whole story, and Kim absolutely lost it. Years later, in 2004, Kesia gave an interview to the Daily Mirror where she aired everything out. She said M hooked up like a total rookie, and sometimes he was a Minuteman, claimed fame went straight to his head after MMLP, said he was addicted to, let's say, smelling snow, just like Kim, and that Kim abused him. But she also added that even though he was bad in bed, he kissed like a pro and was the funniest guy she'd ever been with. She reportedly passed away in 2008. Coming up next, the co-star who might have fallen for him the hardest. It wasn't official until 2002, but Eminem and Brittany Murphy actually dated. And even though the relationship barely lasted 3 months, you could argue she was the one who fell for him the hardest. And here's why. As you can probably guess, they met in October 2001 during the filming of 8 Mile, which was shot in Detroit, Eminem's hometown. It didn't take long for them to click and become more than just co-stars. Let's be honest, that scene in 8 Mile probably had a lot to do with it. Rumors said their chemistry went beyond the screen. People claimed they were seen together at an Elton John concert in Detroit that October, but no photos ever surfaced, so everyone just called it gossip. Behind the scenes, they were already a couple. After those long shooting days, she'd stay over at his place, and she quickly became part of the family. While filming, Brittany would slip into M's trailer and leave little love notes on his mirror and other sweet, mushy stuff like that. She even bonded with Hailie. She was all in. But then, New Year's Eve 2001, M rents out the Pontchartrain Hotel for a cast party. They ring out 2001, and the second the clock hits midnight, drama walks in. M, like me, has a thing for a nice booty, and apparently one of the rooms was full of strippers. Brittany gets jealous and feels like he's not paying enough attention to her, so she pretends to faint, and the whole place turns into a mess. For M, that was the perfect excuse to walk away from the relationship. because he was already getting ready to jump into another one. Perfect timing. You'll find out later, and it will blow your mind. Even though they were already together at the end of 2001, things didn't really go public until 2002. In May, Eminem was interviewed and asked directly about two rumors. The first one, whether he'd had a relationship with Kim Basinger during the filming of the movie. He denied that. The second, whether he'd been involved with Brittany Murphy. He dodged it by doing an impression of Brittany's voice from Don't Say a Word.
And what about rumors of Em and Brittany's off-screen romance?
I'll never tell. Me and Brittany became friends. Okay. I'll say that.
I'll never tell.
Just a few days later, in June, we saw Brittany going all out during Eminem's performance at the 2002 MTV Movie Awards. That moment has a meaning. She once told a friend she didn't know how to flip people off, and Em was the one who taught her how to do it for that classic scene. If you're into Shady lessons, you already know what went down at Eminem's 30th birthday that same year. Kim's best friend, who had always been close to Em, got pissed because Eminem didn't want anything to do with her. And as payback, she released a book spilling all kinds of personal details about him. That's where she revealed what happened on New Year's Eve, since she was right there at that party. A few weeks after that book dropped, what everyone had been waiting for finally happened. Brittany confirmed the relationship, twice. The first time was on November 8th, the very day the movie premiered. Brittany went on The Late Show with David Letterman and...
They want to know what it's like working with Eminem.
Now, what is it like? Let's just start there. Was there romance here? Actual, not big screen romance, but you know what I'm saying?
Why, Dave, I'd never kiss and tell. Our characters were romantic interests in the film. They were love interests in the film.
Oh, I understand that, but I'm talking about off the silver screen.
Yep.
Yeah, what?
Yep. Yeah, sure.
Really?
yeah, sure.
And how did that go?
Well, it went. It came and went.
Came and went.
I didn't mean it like that.
But now...
And yeah, it all started with laughs. But when Letterman saw her eyes welling up, about to cry, he quickly switched topics.
I know it's none of my business, but I don't mean to
or America's.
I don't mean to be flippant or coy about this, but there was an actual relationship, more than friends, is what you're saying.
Sure.
Yeah, and how long, how did you meet? Did you meet on the film? You met before the film?
We met during rehearsal, but it was nothing tawdry or anything like that.
No, well,
he's a friend of mine.
You're friends now?
Sure.
Yeah.
I adore him, and I have nothing but wonderful memories. And he's a wonderful father. I'm very loving, and one of the hardest workers I've ever met in my life or seen, and an avid professional. And he's a genius, you know, and funny as the day is long.
Mm-hmm. All right. You want me to change the subject, don't you?
Sure.
Yeah.
A few days later, she showed up on MTV TRL to promote the movie, and they asked her the same question again. She joked that Eminem had broken her heart into a million pieces. But after they kept pushing, she said people needed to respect Eminem's privacy, though she'd already explained everything on The David Letterman Show. Brittany passed away at the end of 2009. In 2010, Eminem said her death was insane to him because there was a time when they'd been very close. Years later, Taryn Manning, who played B-Rabbit's ex in 8 Mile, also confirmed their connection in a documentary about Brittany.
The on-screen chemistry also was going off the screen. And look, I might have been a little jealous at that one. Like, is it? Damn it. You know, like, Marshall's awesome, but no, I'm joking. But it was speculated.
And now, be ready for the final boss. That's right, Eminem and Mariah Carey actually dated, and it blows my mind that something everyone talked about back then has somehow turned into this idea that it was all made up or some kind of Eminem delusion.
There were rumors that Mariah Carey... Exactly.
I believe it.
I believe it too.
Okay.
Rumors that everyone thinks are true, but it's never been confirmed that Eminem and Mariah Carey dated.
Between 2001 and 2002, everyone in the industry knew something was going on. Friends and reps from both sides talked. Tabloids ate it up like candy. Even Mariah's die-hard fans were dragging Em in her fan forums for how and when he dumped her. Eminem and Mariah got in touch because Em wanted her in 8 Mile to play the role of his mother. Yes, you heard it right, his mom. Buddy already knew she was wild. She was pissed off by that, but with the time they actually became friends with benefits. They were first spotted together in New York in June 2001, leaving the bar at the Tribeca Grand Hotel and heading to Mariah's place nearby. For what? I'll let your imagination handle that one. Back then, Mariah was with Latin superstar Luis Miguel, so her rep had to jump in fast and claim there was no cheating and that they were just friends. But the truth is, things between Mariah and Luis Miguel were already rocky. Throughout the rest of that year, the tabloids were buzzing non-stop. It looked like Mariah was playing on both sides. And remember, from October to January, Eminem was technically with Brittany Murphy. Mariah spent Christmas 2001 with Luis, and in January 2002, she finally ended things with him for good. Right after that, she started a serious relationship with Eminem, who had just broken up with Brittany. Several of Mariah's own friends confirmed it. Over the next few months, they were spotted together multiple times. It even came out they'd recorded a track for what was supposed to be M's next album, The Eminem Show. Remember that part? Because they actually did. But when the album dropped in May, instead of a collab between the two, we got a couple of songs with some not-so-friendly lines aimed at Mariah. After that, in June, Eminem gave an interview where he denied all dating rumors since his divorce, except one, Mariah. There's truth to that. I don't want to say anything disrespectful because I respect her as a singer, but on the whole personal level, I'm not feeling it. I just don't like her as a person. I gotta be honest, I learned a lesson from it. Don't believe the hype. I have respect for her, but she doesn't really have it all together. I'll just say that, and that she's a beautiful woman. However, what almost nobody knows is that even after all that mess, they kept hooking up in secret. But Eminem broke up with her over the phone in July 2002, just days after Carey's father passed away. And here's the kicker. In the book written by Eminem's former friend, the one I mentioned earlier, there's an entire chapter dedicated to Mariah Carey, confirming this whole story and laying out a ton more details. And, by the way, everything she said lines up perfectly with what Eminem would go on to say about Mariah in the years that followed. After that whole storm, that's when the two of them started throwing dirt at each other. Mariah drops clown on Charm Bracelet and straight up mocks him on tour. Em hits back by playing those cringe voicemails from her on the Anger Management tour. And by the way, those voicemails later turned into this rumor that they were fake or re-recorded. But both Mariah herself and Eminem's rep at the time confirmed they were real. They kept going at it for years, pretty much right up to the present, with her denying everything and him revealing more and more details, including this one, which lines up perfectly with the real start and end dates of their relationship, even though, as lovers, things went on for much longer.
Yes, me and Mariah did have a relationship for about a good 6-7 months, something like that.
Wow. What happened?
You know,
it just go bad or what?
Didn't work. But the fact that she denied that we ever had something, that's bad.
So yeah, Eminem, his team, Mariah's circle, and the tabloids all confirmed it. But if that's still not enough, here's another one. In 2021, Dina Ray told the world the truth about Superman.
I don't know how much I can talk. Mariah actually was the original vocal on Superman, Mariah Carey. Her vocal was actually the reference.
I'm going to leave it here because I only wanted to give a quick recap of their relationship, not dive into the whole war that came afterward. So if you want the full story, you already know what to do. Smash that damn like button like Eminem smashed Mariah.